Is there anything more fun than a Halloween party? Well, how about a Halloween party with a mysterious stranger who might be hiding a sexy secret? Such is the case of today's Twisted Tales from the Crypt, as Carl does all he can to forget his ex-girlfriend when he meets a very mysterious woman in only skin deep. The episode begins at one of the coolest Halloween parties I've ever seen. How come I'm never invited to these parties? Oh, probably because I'm an introvert and wouldn't go anyways. Carl joins the party looking super miserable. I'm assuming because his ex is dancing with another guy? And how dare she? Carl is a super nice guy. How could she have let this man slip through her grasp?
Carl, what the hell are you doing here?
Before Carl can make a scene, he's stopped by Honest Abe, whose forehead looks like it has a speed hole. Carl's a little butthurt because his friend Bob doesn't want him at the party. Not because they're not friends, but because he may or may not have done something to his ex-girlfriend. Carl's like, "Don't worry, Bob, I've got a mask. No one will know it's me." So immediately his ex picks him out of the crowd and she's like, "What the hell are you doing here?"
I guess I'm gonna need a court order to keep you away from me after all.
Oh, you're always so melodramatic.
I think Linda might be acting a little overdramatic. Carl is a super nice guy. All he came here for was a couple drinks and to dance the night away. Where's the harm in that?
Thinking I gave you what you deserved. If I'd done that, I'd have killed you.
Carl, you're not doing anything to help yourself out here, bud. Alright, so Carl may have been a little hands-on with his love. But where's the harm with a little love tap every now and then? His ex then kind of alludes to the fact that Carl may have even killed the woman that came before her. But if he's so violent and she knew this, why did she get with him in the first place? Honest Abe breaks up the little love fest, and I'm starting to see why their relationship didn't work. Wow, way to scare Helen Hunt. Oh wait, that's a mask.
I'm not like she says.
No, of course not. Roid raging and smashing pumpkins is completely acceptable behavior. Carl asks the mystery woman what she's supposed to be dressed as, and she says a body bag. I think she could be dressed as a toilet and Carl would still be turned on. The mystery woman is about to leave when she asks Carl if he'd like to tag along, to which he's like, yeah. Carl asks the woman her name, but she's very mysterious and just has Carl call her whatever he wants, so looks like Molly it is. They get back to Molly's place, which looks to be in an abandoned building, which would set off alarms in my head. Molly wastes no time in getting to the real reason why they're both there, much to the delight of Carl.
We gonna have sex?
Should we have sex?
No, Carl. She removed her costume and let you touch her thigh because she wanted to play a game of Clue. This guy has more muscle than brains. Carl gets things back on track, but thinks they should keep things as anonymous as possible. They know each other's first names, and that's all they should know. He suggests they don't even remove their masks. One thing though, Carl, you don't actually know Molly's first name. She never told you, and you just came up with that one on your own. Well, things between the two get a lot more graphic than I was expecting. But let's just say Carl really has some anger issues. Sometime later, Carl wakes up in Molly's bed and, what the hell? At this moment, I'd probably be getting the hell out of her place.
Were you calling me?
Is there somebody else here?
Is there somebody else here? Clearly, Carl is starting to lose his mind. But what the hell was Molly doing with an angle grinder? You know, I'm not sure I'd be taking a drink from a random woman I don't know who was just using an angle grinder on something.
Well, whatever, but it was incredible. I mean, I'm gonna be sore for a week.
Yeah, it was something, alright.
She doesn't sound nearly as enthusiastic as Carl. For a guy that wanted to keep things super anonymous, he suddenly wants to know every little detail about Molly. One night of passion is all it takes, I guess, for this guy to become insanely possessive.
I mean, I'm not like the rest of them. I wouldn't hurt you. You will not do this to me.
I wouldn't hurt you, then proceeds to aggressively wake her up because she wants to sleep. I'm starting to see why Carl's relationships don't tend to last. Carl then proceeds to tell her his entire life story, and she could not care any less. He even takes his mask off, which wasn't part of the deal. Molly tells Carl he needs to be out of here by the time she wakes up, but cool-headed Carl immediately calls her a bitch and gets aggressive. Carl starts going through all of her things because he is desperate to find any kind of information on her. Like her real name for one. Oh no, not syphilis. Even her mail is just addressed to homeowner or resident. See, what did I say about taking a drink from a strange woman? Although if I had to put money on it, I would have bet Molly's drink would have been the one that was drugged. I'd love to know what Carl's fascination is with Molly's forbidden closet of mystery. Now what could she be using that grinder on? Alright, so she's a collector of masks. I don't see anything wrong with that. We all have hobbies. Of course, Carl goes into rage mode when he really could have just left through the front door. I mean, Molly's a pretty heavy sleeper. Carl slices Molly's hand and then tries to take her mask off because he wants to know who she really is.
Let's see what's under yours.
No!
Dude, cut your nails. Well, it turns out Molly wasn't wearing a mask at all. So it is Helen Hunt. Molly proceeds to cut Carl's face off and then paints it with, I'm guessing, resin to preserve it. Oh yeah, this is going straight to Etsy. Only Skin Deep is based on the comic of the same name found in the pages of Tales from the Crypt number 38. The cover art was drawn by Jack Davis and features a man wielding an axe looking like he's about to hack up something inside this trunk. The story was written by Al Feldstein with art by Reed Crandall. For 5 years, Herbert has made his way to the same old cafe for Mardi Gras, and for 5 years, he has met the same woman, Suzanne. But 5 years has been too long for Herbert, and deeply in love, he wants to ask Suzanne to marry him. The two lovebirds meet at the same costume party year after year, and behind her witch mask, he knows she's beautiful. The two dance the night away until Herbert tells Suzanne they need to talk. He wants to marry her. Suzanne worries that maybe she won't be what he wants when he sees what she really looks like. But Herbert tells her it doesn't matter. He'll love her no matter what. The two leave the party and go to the nearby lake, where Herbert asks her once again to be his wife. Suzanne says yes, but when Herbert goes in to remove her mask and kiss her, she pulls back and says he can see her face after they're married. Lucky for them, there just so happens to be a justice of the peace nearby, and that night the two are wed, though the old man gives them a raised eyebrow when performing the ceremony because he's never wed two people with masks on before. The couple are brought to their hotel room, but before things can get hot and heavy, Suzanne needs to turn the lights off. It doesn't seem to bother Herbert much because just seeing the moonlight silhouette of his bride as she disrobes is enough to start his engines. An exhausted Herbert smiles down at his sleeping bride, thinking back to the first time he met her. He knew she was beautiful, her glistening eyes, her curvaceous figure, but why hide it all behind such a hideous mask? For 5 years, Herbert would meet Suzanne at the same place, and now she was his wife, but still he has never seen her face. Herbert turns the light on, and to his shock, she was still wearing the mask. Herbert slowly unties it, but when he takes it off, she looks horrific. Thank God, I was dreaming. But why would Herbert have such a horrific dream? Herbert turned the light on, and just like his dream, Suzanne was still wearing the mask. Herbert begins pulling at the mask, trying to remove it, when Suzanne wakes up and begs him to stop. No, Herbie, I beg of you. You said it doesn't matter. You said. Yeah, well, it does matter now. It wasn't a mask. It was Suzanne's face all along.
I never wore a mask, Herbie.
Holy shit! Only Skin Deep is kind of an odd episode. I went in looking for something with a Halloween vibe and came out with this strange, kinky story about beauty being more than what's just on the surface. It's interesting how different the episode is from its comic counterpart. Carl is a huge piece of trash who gets pissed off because Molly won't tell him anything about herself. While Herbert is a legit nice guy who's fallen in love, but just wants to see what his wife truly looks like. Carl definitely got what he deserved. He was aggressive with every woman he's ever been with, and his ex even spoke about him choking the woman he dated before her. So did he kill that woman, and his ex just brushed it off because she saw some muscles? I don't know, but it's kinda weird. Also, what is with Molly's masks? Does she wear them around the house to try and become those people? Or is she just a serial killer who likes to collect people's faces because she was born with one that was, let's just say, unique? Only Skin Deep was directed by William Malone, a director known for movies like the House on Haunted Hill remake and Fear.com. Outside of those though, he hasn't really done too much. This seems to be the case with everyone involved in this episode. The writer Dick Beebe wrote House on Haunted Hill and Book of Shadows: The Blair Witch 2. Sherry Rose, who played Molly, has done a lot of low-budget TV and movies, with a lot of it looking like the typical Skinamax type stuff that they'd show on late-night cable. Although she did play Aftershock, aka Ursula Undershaft, in Black Scorpion 2 and Black Scorpion the TV series. Ursula Undershaft? Oh god. The biggest star of the episode is Peter Onorati, who played Carl. He's had a ton of small bit parts in TV and movies, with his most well-known probably being in shows like This Is Us and SWAT. Only Skin Deep is a fine episode, but it's missing a bit of that campiness I come to expect when I watch Tales from the Crypt. But what do you think of Only Skin Deep? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. But don't go too far, because there is still more Halloween goodness on the way, and stay spooky!
I guess that's one way to wear a guy out.